How's it going, guys? It's Nutshell here, and today I want to talk about ammunition within Escape from Tarkov, whether that be for the point of view of working out how you can actually deal with opponents in the game, and especially for understanding how ammunition actually works in its entirety and how you can use it to your advantage, especially if you play PvP and PVE. Number one is, of course, to do with penetration and how far you can actually penetrate armor. Now, on Tarkov itself, you can see here 31 penetration on an M855 round tells you that it has a very high chance of going through level 3 and below armor. However, what you don't understand is that there is also a couple of other things that you need to know, and why even an M855 round can go through some of the thickest plates in the game most of the time. This video showcases off the ammo chart, which is a website that you can use for Escape from Tarkov, and it tells you all of the different ammunition, its penetration values, its effective distances, its actual damage it can deal, as well as the penetration values and classes of armor that it can likely go through, with a kind of value system from 0 to 6, 6 being that it basically can go through the armor without really making an impact, or the armor making an impact on the round, and then 0 being you cannot pen it at all. So let's have a look at exactly how it works. Starting off with shotgun ammo. Now, 5.25mm buckshot can go through class 6 armor, but it has a slightly effective rate at which it can go through, and this is down to the fact that it has a low penetration chance initially and slowly gains chance or quickly damages armor until it penetrates. So what happens with this is that you have to mag dump an entire like MP155 in order to actually be able to take out a person when using a shotgun with this ammunition, because it needs multiple shots, and although buckshot has a load of different pellets, it will essentially deal damage, whether that be blunt damage or whether it's actual damage. Blunt damage being that it damages the armor and it slightly damages the player but doesn't penetrate, if that makes sense, whereas a level 6 will go straight through. And so when we look at the actual armor of for example a flechette ammo, which can go up to level 6 with a 5 on the penetration chart, it is very effective, and so 1 to 3 shots will fully go through, which makes it very effective for going through helmets, and why the flechette ammunition is so expensive for a shotgun. Now, each shotgun pellet, it fires off 8 lots of 25 damage with a total damage of 200, which is pretty decent, especially if all of them penetrate. However, not all of them are going to penetrate, given this statistic here, 1 to 3. And so penetrates a large percent of the time initially, often quickly going to greater than 90%. That's due to the fact that you're dealing damage to the armor, and it degrades the armor, and therefore higher penetration chance of actually going through. But that means that Piranha and Flechette are very effective shotgun ammo rounds, as well as firing off multiple of each of the kind of little pellets or the actual flechettes themselves at one time, which means you can often deal a ton of damage in a small amount of time, firing off multiple rounds of this in order to take out someone very effectively. And that's what I've been using in the MP155, firing off a ton of Piranha ammo, mag dumping basically into their chest and a face, and essentially you can take them out really easily, especially if you play PvE. PMCs, raiders, AI in general are going to get pumped by Piranha and Flechette, so it is a very effective way of taking them out from close range. And considering that the effective distance of these shells is pretty decent, with Flechette and Piranha having very long ranges, yeah, it really does work quite well. Then you have things like slugs, which are very effective but have super high damage, and similarly much better penetration, at least for the lower tiers of armor. And then you have things slightly higher, and each of these are very dependent on both the damage. The higher the damage, typically they have less penetration, usually. Some rounds will have very good penetration and very good damage, but they're often utilized in guns that fire off one very slow round, and so you're not pumping out 50 rounds within half a second, and hence why it's somewhat balancing the game when it comes to ammunition. However, as we go down, you can see all of the different ammunition types and what works best, and it's a very, very good idea to get see which ones are actually useful for you to both buy and also sell, and see what you should be using if you're coming up against different opponents. If you know you're coming up against mainly scavs, you can use lower tier ammunition. If you're coming up against mainly PMCs or raiders or bosses or whatever, you want the highest penetration ammunition you need, and this chart really does help out a ton. I've used it all of the time just to briefly check over, and of course over time you'll get used to what actually works and what you should be using for various different types of armor, and you no longer need the chart because you already looked at it, you've researched it, and so as a starting off place to kind of learn how penetration and armor works, this really is a good utilization or a facility for you to kind of do that. And you can see here APSX, the Action SX, all of these, dependent on which one you're using, will have massive differences. So an Action SX will go through level 1 and 2 with a very, very high chance of penetration, and the APSX, which is not actually found on the flea market, so it tells you those as well, but that can go through level 6s and or level 5s with a very, very high chance, and then classics with a a high chance of going through. So if you're thinking about which ammunition you're picking, go into this chart, use it, make sure to have a look. And I thought it would be a kind of quick video just to highlight that you can use this and see which ammunition you're using, and maybe that's the reason why you're finding it very hard to take out people, whether that be on PvE or PvP. But there you go, a really, really good resource, and I highly appreciate the creators of EFTammo.com. And yeah, go and check it out. Links in the description to the ammo chart itself, and it has literally all of the rounds that you can think of in here as well. So with that being said, hopefully you enjoyed. Like it if you did, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.